Thank you very much again. So risk management is one of the trickiest parts, and often that I get asked. So risk comes from 2 points, right? Something that you're not planned and something that basically driven by man or by mistake. So, and then also how do you make sure on top of it that that you get trust, and that and through that trust that also you make sure the risk is minimized. So in terms of something that comes with disaster and everything that we cannot control, we have the partnership model that I mentioned about, because digital can solve, let's say 40-50%, but then there is always the integration service that you need to prepare along with it. Tech on its own cannot solve the world problem. So you need to have a holistic approach. So the partnership approach in terms of making sure you have the right procedures, making sure also beyond the procedure, the planning, the forecast capacity that you get from technology, and then at the same time also the financial sector. The financial sector, at least covering 50%, because obviously once you break a promise, the risk of breaking that promise is huge than actually getting the fund back for the money you spent. That's something that we hope we will never go through that, but with the current capacity that we have, the partnership aspect with insurance companies covers, let's say, the unmanned issues. But when it comes to risk management, again, the technology aspect, when it comes to AI, it gives us some sort of forecast, looking at weather, looking at also analyzing also the entire traceability and the data that we collect. So we're always ahead of the game, right? So we make sure through those data that we anticipate for any issue that might come up along the supply chain or the logistic to cover that risk. But then also the other risk is what I mentioned earlier, basically not knowing the farmer not having the right skill set to trade, the right CV, and then also other details, uncalculated detail you might not have considered when you do trading. So our KYC process is where it comes in. So then know your customer or know your client, model that we prepared in terms of making sure we understand the background of the farmer, we understand his land capacity, we understand also if he's done previous contractual agreements. All those data that we collect gives us a better understanding in the profile of that farmer. And then we make sure that those data are also validated with the certain stakeholders like the government, because the government has, even if they don't have, let's say, automated data, because this is also where we struggle when it comes to integration. Even if you want to automate your system, making sure that it integrates with your third party is a challenge, because the other party has to be ready. But then what we do is we manually validate with service providers, with government, and make sure that farmers are capable to provide those kind of transactions. So this is for what we call mature farmers. Obviously, our platform is driving equitable platform, right? That where everybody can participate and they can go through it. So we have also a model where we can bring in new farmers that are not exposed, where we can support them to be able to be advocates through this process to make sure that they build their trust into the system, and then their risk profile becomes very minimum, so that the buyer at the end of the day can actually purchase or interact, and they can trust to buy from them. So making sure that we have a risk calculation, making sure that we have a robust KYC, making sure that we have the right rating system of the farmer. And that gives us, let's say, what we call the risk minimization for the buyer. But then also, how do I trust the buyer? Because we always talk about, if you look at the coffee market, sadly, the power is on the buyer side. So everybody I don't trust the farmer, or I don't trust, the seller is always, the question. But how do I trust the buyer? Because even from my experience, which is short, a buyer might come in and tomorrow he'll say he'll buy and he'll flank it. Because, you're talking about losing a whole lot of contracts yourself as well, because you secured. So making sure also a buyer that comes into our platform is legitimate. He's interested to purchase. And then also we do certain validation of the buyer that joins into the platform, is making sure that it keeps us to build a trustable platform. And also we manage a whole lot of risks that comes with it. So risk, there is transactional risks. There is also, let's say, delivery risks. Those things we can control because we've got all the right processes. But then something that we can't control is some things on top, climate change, and then certain disasters that we don't anticipate. Those things we leave it to the insurance companies.